2 of the Havoc Esports podcast. I'm joined here by my amazing co-host Benji. What's going on, man?
Doing good here. Have a whole nother topic of things to talk about since our last podcast. And we have our special guest Luke here as well, the CEO of Havoc.
Yeah, what's up? How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Panda?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm happy to have Luke on, man. I mean, we've been talking about having you on, even though it's only the second one. We've been pretty excited to get somebody so incredibly knowledgeable on the podcast, bring some depth into the conversation.
Yeah, that's me right there, Mr. Knowledge.
Well, Luke, I guess we'll kind of give everybody kind of general rundown of who you are, what you do, your history, I guess you could say. Obviously, you're the CEO of Havoc. You want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Havoc as a CEO and what you have planned?
Well, the main thing that I try to do at the very least is make it so everybody can work together in a cohesive unit. We try to remind everybody to get the jobs and work done. Main thing I do is I run the meetings, run all the meetings here, whether it be just a normal staff meeting or marketing meetings. I just try to lead them, make sure they happen so we can get work done. And then outside of that, just making sure I get information from all the different teams. I mean, of course, the podcast team here, reminding y'all to get me some information every couple of days on what's happening next. And of course, social media team, and then my main project being the Havoc Esports stream as well. So the Havoc Esports League play being the big part, main thing that I try to tend and run. But essentially, I try to help with everything, but the big project I run is the Havoc League play.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for anybody who's not familiar with Havoc Esports and what it is, why don't you tell them kind of, I guess, the mission statement, what Havoc Esports is, and why you kind of created it.
Havoc Esports, I mean, Havoc Esports kind of mirrored after my own heart morality in some way, shape, or fashion, in which I love everybody, I want to help out everybody in any way I can, push them to be the best people that they can. That's what we try to have here at Havoc Esports, where our league play on its own, it was completely designed just to give players experience in a live environment at least on a live stream for all the matches, and then also give them the ability to learn from our coaches over time and overall progress as players. We try to give them that path to the professional scene. That's the shortest way that we could describe it with our league play, is a path to professional scene in which we give players experience on stream. We're playing against a variety of different players. Grand Champ 1s can play against SSLs. Champ 3s, if they win the entire season in Academy, they can go in and have some opportunities to play against the main league teams, then possibly get their next season. It's overall just giving these players the experience they need to continue improving, and not just the players, but with commentators. We have a bunch of people who have never commentated before. I mean, Benji, he didn't commentate before Havoc, and then he started out with us and is now one of our better commentators, and hopefully we can see him with that again in the future. But it's honestly, that's our big mission statement, being able to help out everybody.
Absolutely, and I think that's awesome. I feel like you see a lot of organizations nowadays that kind of just focus on the top tier of skill level as far as players go, that they really only are interested in Grand Champion and above, and you kind of leave out these lower level players that are, Platinum, Diamond, low champ, and they don't really have a place to get the like higher level scrims. We offer that all the time. A lot of our Academy League teams, which is the lower levels, they get to scrim against main league teams all the time. Our whole community is very inclusive to everybody who is wanting to play the game and wanting to get better, and I think that's awesome, because I don't think you see that near as much nowadays in some of these organizations. But I do want to talk a little bit more about you as far as what that you've achieved, because outside of building up this organization to what it is, you have quite a bit of I don't know, stuff under your belt as far as achievements to go. I mean, you have a blue title. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, sure. I do like to joke around that this blue title, even if I were to win the world championship, I'd say this blue title is probably the best achievement I've had in Rocket League, just because, I mean, Doomsy, we all know Doomsy. He's the player I ended up coaching to get this blue tag along with Furlash and Sigums. And, Doomsy, he retired in EU. He just was barely outside the world championship a couple times until he did end up retiring. retiring. He moved to APAC for work, and he decided to play the first season of RLCS in APAC, along with Furlash and Sigums. And we ended up getting second place in our first ever regional after a lot of hard work and replay review. And that's how I ended up getting my blue tag. So that's why I'm saying, like, getting Doomsy a second blue tag, that's why I'm saying that will forever be, I guess, the greatest accomplishment that I helped in actually getting. So that's how I ended up getting my blue tag.
I think that's pretty funny talking about getting Doomsy a second blue tag is, but also, I mean, I think there's something special to your first ever big achievement title that you can obtain. You know, I think that first, they've shown, like, you can look years down the road, like, that's where I came from. I mean, even at the level that you were physically playing at the time wasn't near as close to being able to achieve something like that as you were as a coach. And I want to talk about, where do you see yourself going now with coaching? Obviously, you have a new organization that you're coaching for, and a new team. I'm kind of curious where you're at right now and where you see yourself going in the future as far as coaching goes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm the current head coach, or I'm the current RLCS coach for Final Form Entertainment. A recent organization has just been made, but it's a combination of 3 organizations that have been in the North American bubble scene for a long time: Melon Patch Gaming, Empire Esports, and Short Circuit Gaming. They all were their own orgs, and then right after the fall split, it was announced that they had merged into one organization under Final Form, and I'm currently their South American RLCS coach. And right now, it's been a great time working with the players. So far, we've had one roster move. We had Reppy fall split, and now he's been replaced with Davin Sano, and he's a very solid player. He's helped raise the mechanical consistency on our team a little bit. We do lose the leadership in Reppy, but we do get a little bit more mechanical consistency with Davin Sano. And all 3 of these players, with Twist, PJ, and Davi, we're working really hard. And honestly, I could see us right now, our expectations are that top 8. Since we got top 8 twice last split, and then we only lost to the club in round 5 in regional 3 as well. So top 8 are our expectations, and then our goals at this moment in time are getting that top 4. And if we can get top 4, I definitely believe that we can get that top 2. And if we get to that grand final, I honestly think we'll have the momentum ahead of us to try and win the whole thing. So in regards to coaching, still working hard with these boys, and I think that a major is within reach. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think a major is within reach with this team.
That's definitely awesome, man. You talking about how, sorry if I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Davin Sano, or you said it with more of a twang than I feel like I'm capable of. But yeah. He just recently replaced, that was Reppy, but that was a pretty recent thing. I think I just saw them announce that on Twitter. That was within probably the last week or two, right?
Yeah.
During the opening.
Yeah, it was very recent.
One more. Okay, yeah, and then one more question, and this, I don't know if this is a silly question, but is there ever any difficulty as far as either a language barrier or like time zone difference whenever you're coaching teams in different regions?
Yeah, that definitely. So when I coached Hilltop Picnic in APAC North, that was when I was currently in a dorm room at my college, and that was difficult, but mainly it was more me staying up till 3, 4, and then on regionals up to 6 a.m. my time, trying to stay awake and help the team out in any way that I could. And then for the SAM team, at the start of the season, before daylight savings time in the United States, I'm around 4 hours behind, but with daylight savings time, now we're 5 hours behind, since they don't do that in Brazil. And then in regards to the language barrier, Reppy and PJ last split, they speak pretty fluent English. They rarely have to look up a word. They understand concepts pretty easily as well. I did work with Alem on Hilltop Picnic in Asia during the winter split a little bit, kind of secretly. When I was working with Prestige, I still helped Hilltop Picnic on the side. So in regards to Alem, it took more actual translation for him, and concepts were a lot harder to explain. But with PJ and Reppy and then now Davi, they can understand English to the point where they can understand concepts pretty well. So that's pretty good. And then Twist is the only one who doesn't speak English. He does understand a couple of words. Even if I speak slowly, it's still pretty difficult. So normally when it comes to replay review, it takes PJ or Davi explaining things in Portuguese, and we kind of have and we have to have that communication of going back and forth, making sure that we don't leave one of us out of the loop when it comes to scrims or replay review.
Okay. Dude, I had no clue. You said that they don't participate in daylight saving times in Brazil.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing for other countries? I thought everybody was participating in that.
No, not everybody does daylight savings time. This is something that I just know a decent amount about. I just remember it from school and everything. Normally, countries around the equator don't participate in it because there's no need for extra sunlight if you're around the equator. But there's also the fact that daylight savings time was initially thought up by a bunch of different civilizations, but the one main thing people think about is Benjamin Franklin was the one who suggested daylight savings time in the United States. But not every country practices daylight savings time, mainly due to the equator suggestion, but even some places like in the summer around Alaska and Antarctica, for example, I mean, the sun never goes down during the summer.
Yeah, it seems kind of pointless in some of those situations. I think there even been talks recently about they're kind of just thinking about getting rid of daylight savings times as a whole, which I guess would be a culture shock to some people, but I guess the rest of the world would be like, "This is what we've been doing the whole time, man.
Yeah,
Y'all are just catching up." Well, without getting too far off topic, I guess we can probably go ahead and start talking about week 1 of Havoc League play